Hello everyone and welcome to the True Trade LLC YouTube channel and our very first video. Today we will be going over how to identify important buy and sell zones and how to find key levels on any given chart. When looking at a blank chart, I like to start on a daily or a 4-hour time frame to identify these key levels as they work best and give the highest probability of taking a winning trade. And usually all my big levels are identified from these two time frames. I don't like using anything lower than a 4-hour for these key levels. After that, I'll move on to an hourly chart to identify if those bigger 4-hour daily levels are respected, if the trend is continuing in the same direction. I like to start finding these key levels at prices where there was a shift in the market. This can usually be seen through big gaps where the price closes and opens the next day either higher or lower, or by looking at important breakdown, breakup zones. So let's get started by looking at this chart of SPY. So the first thing I like to look at is finding the highest daily close. And in this case, SPY had its highest daily close on February 19th at 338.34. So we'll get a straight line drawn through there. Usually I like to color code my lines, so in this case I usually use white lines for finding my gaps. And why is this important? It was our highest daily close, meaning it was the highest price SPY could close at. And as you can see, we get a rejection there and keep heading lower right after. After that, there was also another open gap right here off 333.48, and this is one that we've recently been revisiting, and we'll go over how you can play this later. We have another open gap at 312 right here, 312.86. This one's important because we make our move down, right? Try to break back up, reject, and keep heading lower. Same scenario right here at 297.46. Tries to pivot back up, rejects, and as you can see right here, was struggling to get over it for a while. Another gap off 288.70. This is one we also try to recapture back up, rejects, fails, and then has quite a few visits around this area. And our last one I would like to use for this case would be right here off 274.03. So after getting those important levels drawn on the daily chart, I like to move to a 4-hour and hourly time frame to see how well these zones, these levels are holding, and to see if they are in fact key levels. In this case, we'll go to the 4-hour first. As you notice here, we break under, stay under, try to break back over. The first time there's lots of sellers sitting there. We get over and now it starts to hold at support. We start to consolidate between 288, 274 for a few days, come to the top, you can look to short, we're staying under, come to the bottom, you can look to buy, top, short, gets over for a bit, but then still finds resistance at 297. The 288 is more of a mid-level, it goes through and under a few times, whereas the 297 and 274 are a bit more bigger, so we'll change this one to a red line, so it could just help me see that it is an important level, but it's not as important as the 297 and the 274, which are more clear buy and sell zones. When looking at these buy and sell zones, I like to get boxes drawn to give me an idea of what area I can look to buy or sell. So in this case, we'll go back to the daily, and we'll look at the level, and we'll usually draw the box from the level to the lowest wick under. In this case, the lowest wick under is around 270. We'll do that. We'll click Edit Properties, change it to green, and then we'll also go into More, HSL, and change the transparency so we can have a see-through green box. And we'll draw a sell zone on this top zone of 297 to the highest wick, which is around 298. And this one will change to red. These buy and sell zones work very well, but they have to be updated quite frequently. In this case, we're under 274, so again, it's not a buy zone. Once we get over it, it turns into a buy zone. Every time we come into it, buyers are stepping in. Meanwhile, the 297 is acting as a sell zone, Every time we come to that zone, sellers are stepping in. But notice how once we break over 297 and we continue to hold, that is now our new buy zone. So in this case, I would change this back to a green box. So now I know that every time we come into there, I can be looking to be a buyer instead of a seller. And now since that 297.50 level is our buy zone, we want to find our next sell zone. In this case, we have an open gap now at 320.320. We'll draw another line. You always want to keep your charts as updated as possible. I usually like to update them every 2 to 3 days, sometimes at max a week, depending on whether or not it was consolidating that week and if it went anywhere or not. And if we go to a 4-hour chart here, we can see why this is a sell zone. We come into the level, consolidate, sell, hard drop, back into the 297 buy. And off that 297 buy, we head back towards the 312 area. That was also an open gap that we had marked earlier. It's important, but it's not as prevalent as, again, 323 and the 297. We come into it, so we'll change this into a red line, showing it is an important area, but not as important. And then we start to consolidate around it. Sellers are still stepping in around here. We get over, now buyers are starting to step in. We come to the 323, have a hard rejection, but at the same time, we don't make another move lower. And off this daily close at 318.89, we start to consolidate and look to continue breaking higher. So this is where you can all kind of look for a trend change or trend continuation. We had 1 rejection here, 2 rejections, 3 rejections, but now we're not moving lower. We're holding higher, looking for a continued breakup back into the next area. As you see, once we start to consolidate off this 318 level, we continued back up and came into new highs. After this, I'll just pull out back to my daily. I'll get my alerts set at these important buy area, sell areas, and then I'll wait patiently for them to come to that buy area or come to the sell area. I don't want to be trying to trade in between these zones because it's not going to be as high probability, and I'm going to let the price come to me where I want to take it, because jumping in early will screw you 99% of the time. You do not want to FOMO a trade because you think it's going to go your way. Instead, wait patiently for it to come to you, and that will help you become a much better profitable trader. That's all for this video. The next video will go over how we can play these setups, but for the most part, this is how I get my important levels, how I find my buy and sell zones. And if there's anything you guys want me to do for future videos, just drop a comment down below. I'm primarily a day trader. I day trade options, and I use these buy and sell zones to take my profit targets, my entries, my exits. And there's a little bit more in-depth stuff we can go on how to look at intraday buy and sell areas. We'll do that more down the road. But thank you guys for your time. If you're interested in learning more on how to identify key levels and trading in the stock market, check the link down below for our IG page. If you want to be trading with me daily, hit me up on the IG and send a DM over to get an invite to our Discord group. If you find this video helpful, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe to be notified every time a new video comes out, and have a wonderful rest of your day.